No, that's
like we said, we're not actually professionals.
Yeah, we missed the greatest 12 minutes of conversation ever.
Can't get that back. That was
We can't get that back. It was
No,
magic. Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday. Always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we are joined by an incredible Hulk enthusiast, and he's here for that reason alone. Okay, in actuality, Michael VanCalbergh is specialized faculty at the University of Illinois in Champaign with a 5 out of 5 on Rate My Professor. So kudos for that.
Nice.
With creative work featured at Beaver Magazine, Atticus Review, The Vault of Culture, and Best New Poets of 2021. Nice. Including so much more beyond that. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. The most surprising thing out of that is that I have a 5 out of 5 on Rate My Professor.
Right? Did you know that?
I did not. I did not have that at the first job I had. I'll be honest with you. It was much lower. There's some golden quotes that you could pull from the first job that I had at Rutgers. And my Rate My Professor there. Supposedly, I would give Shakespeare a C.
Oh. Really?
I don't know if you knew that about me. I didn't know that about me, but
I mean, just from the little bit of interaction we know, I would assume you'd give him a D plus, but that's just me, I guess.
I'm much kinder.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
good. Yeah, that Shakespeare, he made up a lot of words. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, man. I was going to make a larger joke about the Incredible Hulk. But I've realized, looking at some of the poems, that we don't even have to joke about it. It's there. So
nice.
Before we go down that rabbit hole, Dave is going to set the mood
yes.
and bring us into the realm of poetry with a poem that he is providing for the day. Dave, what did you write for us today?
So I have a poem today that I wrote in about 8 minutes.
Oh.
And the best part is I wrote one time through in about 2 minutes and went, this is stupid. So then I wrote, I edited it and it became an entirely different thing. And then I edited it one more time and it became an entirely different thing still. So this is my poem called For a Fine Friend. Ideas fleeting from a pharaoh mind. A dry spring spouting stagnant solipsism. Creativity moving like molasses in a Montreal moment. 20 minutes listening to the clock tick-tock mockingly. 7 ideas in an instant of inspiration. One of which tumbles above trash to technically tolerable. That'll do, I guess. Unless I can attempt to acquiesce along another Aaronic alliteration.
Yes!
That is the dumbest thing ever committed to a Google Doc.
I don't know. I feel like that's a lofty thing. I mean, it might maybe top 5 though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The minute you hit those alliterative strides, Dave,
I'm here to make fun of you and drink milk, and I am all out of milk. So,
Well, Michael, you got to hear, I think, what Dave was a summation of the work that we have done now that we've finished all of my high school typed collections. So thanks for that ode, Dave. That was fun.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
I liked it. I liked the alliteration, There was a little too much of it, which was perfect.
Is that possible, Michael?
Yes, it is, Aaron.
No, let's get Michael's opinion. Is it possible to have too much alliteration?
So, is this the thing that you guys disagree about, like the thing?
Yeah.
So I'll say this first before I venture into those tepid waters. I think it's very hard to write a truly bad poem. That was one that literally in my MFA program, I had a teacher who gave us that assignment, which was go write the worst poem you possibly can. It's harder than you think. And I think one of the main things that, the go-to is to use words that you're not sure if it's the right word for that moment, which was a lot there, Dave. That was good.
Oh, yeah.
And then to like really hammer the alliteration, like to make sure people really know that's what you're doing.
Well, and when it's spoken like that, you can really hammer it in.
Yeah, you could. Those M's specifically.
Oh, man. Well, and with my like speech impediment, the spouting spring of stagnant solipsism. That is pure podcasting poetry.
I have a lisp too that I had speech therapy for a long time. So I'm with you. I feel empathy for you right now.
You see, my speech therapy well into elementary school was on my R's. My R's. If you have a sentence, and still to this day, if I have a sentence with W's and R's in a row, it just starts getting a little wobbly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
So you'll never see a string of R's in my alliterations.
Huh. I'm gonna have to write an alliterative poem for you.
That I have to read.
Just R's.
Yep, the whole way through.
R's all the way down. We're going to move from a debate on alliteration very quickly to a debate on shape poems here, because what you have given us, Michael, is pure gold.
One could call it gold. That's true.
Oh, yeah. The minute I opened this PDF, I knew we had something special. So we're going to kick it off, if you don't mind, with what is titled The Green Machine.
Yeah, and I'll read it first, then I can tell you there's actually a story behind this one.
Yes, please.
That I definitely remember. So, The Green Machine. Body straining, every muscle throbbing. Some strange, uncontrollable urge tells me I must. The army's bound to come soon. The police after me again. Why can't they learn, puny weaklings? Go ahead and run. Just leave me alone. Are you afraid? Then we'll continue our fight. If you can. No weapon can stop me. No one as strong as me. Must prove to world no one stronger. You lie. The danger's over now. I know you don't fear me. Must sleep now. Puny humans everywhere. The fools. Tell me or I will destroy. Man approaching, now must face. I'm gonna let that sink in. Let it steep like tea.
Oh, beautiful.
You see,
Yeah. Green tea zinger there. Oh boy. So, Dave, do you want to describe for our dear listeners what we are looking at here?
So, did you ever see the Ang Lee produced Incredible Hulk? With those amazing CGI effects? we're staring at almost an exact replica, just with words.
Mm-hmm.
The shape of a vaguely human thing with arms and legs. Yeah,
a human-esque shape.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's kind of Popeye-ish with the arms. There's more forearm than there is the what is this bicep? Thank you. Yep. I don't do muscles.
We are muscle people.
Yeah, you definitely have more Popeye arms in this Hulk figure.
Listen, you try to make a concrete poem on early word in 2004 or 2005. Whenever I did this, you got to put those spaces in there.
Right.
That's impressive.
that is true. You could did you preset the tab?
No, obviously not.
You're just spacing over there. Yeah.
I just use spaces. There's so many ellipses in this.
Oh, this is beautiful.
There's a triple dash in the middle.
Yes, right in the middle. It really draws the eye there.
It's
right
like
there.
a belt, right?
Like a little belt. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Sure.
For his
Definitely
pants.
intentional.
For the pants. Yeah, let's go with that. I like that.
That's the waistband right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael, tell us about this poem.
So, so I went digging for you all to find this. I had a brief memory that I had this notebook from high school.
Yes.
It was from 2005.
Yes.
So this is when I was a junior, right?
Awesome.
And I took a creative writing class with a bunch of my friends, and shout out to them for still remaining my friend after this. I took this class and bless this teacher too, who put together, and I'm gonna show it to y'all.
Yeah.
It's a collection, right, of everyone in the class, like just put
Spiral
together,
binded. Yeah.
yeah, binded, and everyone got one, right?
Beautiful.
And we had a bunch of assignments, and then we got to pick different ones that went in the thing. We each had to put a story and a poem, but we could put more, whatever. Yeah. And I didn't think that I wrote poetry until college. Like, that's a narrative I've told myself for many years. Sure. And when I found this a couple years ago, my morality was shattered, and I remembered. And I've always remembered this poem. I'm so happy you picked it, because I've always remembered this one, and this is why. I love The Incredible Hulk, as you said. I love The Incredible Hulk a ton. My first tattoo, it just says The Incredible Hulk on my back, right? That's all it says. And I have a ton of Incredible Hulk comics, right? I have Incredible Hulk stuff all over my house. I love The Incredible Hulk, and I did from a young age. And I got the assignment to do a concrete poem, and I thought, how cool would it be to do a Hulk poem? But that's not enough, right? Because I don't know if you caught this. This is actually an erasure of many Hulk poems, or many Hulk comics, excuse me, thrown together into one concrete poem. All of these are lines that the Hulk has said in issues that he appeared in, from Tales to Astonish to the first 6 issues of the Incredible Hulk to Tales to Astonish. Because I have these old collected things of Marvel things, and I poured over it. And the reason I remember this is because this poem took me hours.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So many hours. And I had this memory of, like, man, I spent like days and hours pouring, looking for the right words to pull for this poem. And just reading it now, why did that take me so long? What was going on?
You are making me love this poem, though. Because this is like, nerdy high school Dave would have just been like, yes, I respect this to every degree.
Yeah. No, this is exactly the type of energy I think both Dave and I would bring to a project of this magnitude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little strange that you get, of all the words, of all the comics. I suppose Hulk isn't very articulate unless he's like more in the brainy Hulk. What iteration is that?
Yeah, so technically, if we're gonna get technical here, so the first iteration of the Hulk is the Gray Hulk, right? But that was like maybe a printing error, maybe not. There's a conversation around that. Then you get Green Hulk, which is also referred to as Savage Hulk, and then much later you get Hulks like Joe Fixit and Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk appears at one point. Most recently in the Immortal, I'm done. But
no, you are not done, because this is awesome. I love it.
So of these iterations, are these all Savage Hulk quotes?
Yeah. So this would all be. So I think I was only able to. I have like those Marvel Masterworks, I think they're called, or I'm not sure what they're called, but they were black and white reprints.
Oh yeah,
comics.
Yeah.
And I have like the first 6 of the Incredible Hulk, right? So it's like, they each have like 20 issues or something in them. I think I only got through the first 2 to get this one.
Okay.
So it would all be like, Savage Hulk, early like Tales to Astonish Hulk, or what issues 1 through 6. Nothing really beyond that.
Okay. Okay.
Man.
The ending line gives us kind of a cliffhanger here. There's some ambiguity. We get the beautiful ellipses trailing off. Maybe it's the Hulk's big toe or toenail that's not clipped here. What were you trying to capture in this now must face?
Yeah. That's an excellent question, Aaron.
The eye roll behind that was pretty perfect. Really, Aaron? Okay, fine, we're doing this.
So I'm gonna say, because of the nature of this podcast, that I feel like this is a safe space to say I don't really know.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna make a guess, educated guess, that I think it was like, oh, it just continues on. Like he's constantly struggling. Maybe?
That makes sense.
So the poem is just a snapshot of the Hulk experiencing Hulkness.
It's generous.
and eventually that ellipses is really just an allusion to Planet Hulk and how it will just continue to grow.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna take it.
You're really trying, Aaron.
I just love this. It's just
So I also have a very deep question about this. Why not Spider-Man? Because Spider-Man's better.
Okay.
We ready to throw hands?
I wanna say that I respect your opinion, Dave.
Well, I don't respect yours, so I'm sorry.
I mean, you are incorrect, right? But I respect it.
Okay.
I have this thing. I was just talking to somebody else about this recently at a different meeting I was in a very different context. But I am very contrarian and have been since I was very young. And I don't know why, but the Incredible Hulk was like nobody at the time was like into the Hulk.
Yeah.
But people were into Batman and people were into Superman and people were into Spider-Man. And I said, nah. No. Right? And then I just like the Hulk. And I think like I have like deeper, more educated responses to why I like the Hulk, which I will save for a different conversation than this.
we will have you back on, Michael.
Yeah. You can have me back on and it can be just me saying like this is why I love the Hulk, right?
I will write poetry to the beauty of Spider-Man and the
And then
stupidness
it will
of
be
Hulk.
debated.
And then we can debate. We can go
Yes,
back and forth.
okay,
This is
yeah.
great.
Okay.
This side note, there is a book of poems about the Incredible Hulk,
Just about the Hulk?
just about the Hulk.
Because I know of the Daily Drunks Marvel edition,
Yes.
but it's not that.
No, it's not that.
Oh.
It is small. I have it written down somewhere. Small press chapbook, I think. Right?
Okay,
I wish I could remember the author's name right now. I wish I was prepared for this. and I had like remembered and then like, oh, I have it. I'll find it.
We don't bring research to this show.
No.
That's
I mean,
not something
I
we
did
do.
stalk your Rate My Professor, but beyond that, I mean,
I was afraid you'd Google me because if you Google me, it's a battle between me and my uncle on who is first on Google. He's an ex-vice president of a printing press company, right? Like a local vice president.
I did not find that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Your algorithm is pro me, but my students will Google me and be like, "Are you a dead firefighter?" And I was like, "What? No." They're like,
We're being taught by a ghost here.
yeah, so it's a battle to try and make my poetry like the first hit on Google. And that's my dream. That's all I want.
Well, there we go. Dear listeners, we need your help to screw up the Google algorithm.
Just Google Michael VanCalbergh poetry 20 times, 100 times, as many times as needed. Yeah.
That's a great way to drive traffic. I like it. Anyway, sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, that's fine. Also, a high school boy.
Yes.
I mean, we're of the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Probably similar context growing up. I mean, I'm from Ohio. Where were you from?
So I grew up on the northwest side of Chicago. Technically not Chicago, but surrounded by. Sure. So it's Norwich, Harwood Heights. Yeah.
Yeah, more metropolis Midwestern, but still Midwest. You start your poem with body straining, every muscle throbbing.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
That is a choice.
For a high school boy to use the word throbbing in a poem that will be published with your classmates reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember anything? Like,
none. I'm sure somebody did. Sure. I'm sure somebody was like, all right. I have 4 friends from high school, 2 Peters and 2 Pauls. Okay. Right? Yep. 2 of them are Polish, 2 of them are Italian. 1 Italian Peter, 1 Italian Paul, etc. You get it, right?
Yeah.
It's great. I like pairs. It works very well. But 2 of them were in that class with me. I cannot imagine that at least one of them did not go, all right, buddy. What's this?
I see what you're doing here.
Yeah, what's going on? I can't imagine that one of them did not say something to me then. I just have blocked it out. It was many years ago.
Yeah.
Though I think constantly that it is only 2010. It is not.
Mhm.
It is 2023.
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
That hurts.
I don't know.
That's a different conversation.
That is,
but
that is sorry.
yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, I will just say I love concrete poems because I like reading the single lines. So just going down the arm and doing the don't dead open inside. Have you ever seen that? I think it's The Walking Dead. There's a door at the end of a hallway and you can't really read it and it says don't open, dead inside. But the way that it's written, it looks like it's don't dead open inside.
Oh.
It's very Please cut that.
Please don't cut that. I felt
That
changed.
was the worst explanation
yeah.
ever.
It was excellent.
I love just going I love going down the line and don't fear, leap now everywhere. Tell me, or man approaching. This makes me giggle because I'm still a teenager at heart, or at least in mind.
Well, shall we move on?
Please.
Okay.
Oh, that one hurt. I felt that one.
So I told Dave which one I prefer ahead of time.
Okay.
And I entirely remember the things that you tell me.
It's beautifully in italics here. So if you agree, Dave, otherwise.
The disease.
Oh, you're gonna read it. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Oh no, we're not. No, we're not, Michael.
Oh, you're not gonna read it. Oh,
no.
Jeez.
We just gave you the title. You have to.
I have to pull it. Yeah. All right. I'm pulling it up. I don't want to pull it up. I'm gonna procrastinate.
We read along with you. We have this beautiful thing in front of us, but
that's true.
It needs to come from your voice.
That's true. I mean, 34-year-old my voice is not the same as 16-year-old my voice, and I'm very happy about that.
Emulate that.
Yeah, let's hear some voice cracking.
I wore like a necklace. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. All right. Here we go. The disease. A mist surrounds my mind. My senses are blurred and my memory seems blank. I fear that the darkness has already fallen upon my feeble brain. I do not speak coherently. I do not walk straight. Whether or not I comprehend is beyond comprehension. This disease affects all and is as contagious as the common cold. I do not sleep at night, nor during the day do I stay out of my dreams. I can't believe that I have been stricken this way and so hardly. I want to run away, but yet not even a crawl can I manage. It has finally caught me, the feeling upon most call love.
100% that is the introduction to a pop punk ska song. Just read over a slow piano arpeggio and then just the greatest line I have ever heard in poetry.
Yeah.
Whether or not I comprehend is beyond comprehension. Oh,
deep.
That is
hard.
the piney teenager. I so understand this poem.
My favorite is as contagious as the common cold.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, scary stuff. This could be updated to a pandemic era poem. You could say as contagious as COVID.
There you go. Then it's a perfect poem.
Then it is. I think that's the one edit I'm gonna give you on this one, Michael.
I think my favorite, if we're all sharing favorites.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah.
I think the beginning is my favorite because it sets up that it's gonna maybe be like mediocrely bad, and it really betrays you later on, and it just gets worse. And so when it says, I fear that the darkness has already fallen upon my feeble brain, you're like, oh, that's bad. But what's going on there?
Yeah, you're trying something.
Yeah. And then it just, I don't walk straight, that's what happens. Emotions are too hard for me. 16-year-old self, I'm really trying to put together what I know was happening to me at 16 with this and going, ooh, I wonder what's happening.
Yeah, because Michael, this is not love that you are describing here. This is this actually sounds like COVID brain fog.
Listen, Aaron, this is what love is.
Oh, okay.
Like it just gets into your brain and just stops you from really doing things or understanding things, gets in the way.
Yeah, Aaron's talking about love, but you're talking about love.
Yeah. I missed the connotation there. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Got it.
But I do love how you said, like, yeah, it does start out. There's promise there. There's like you're doing your best, like, poet. Like, yes. I am a poet here. Mist surrounds my mind, senses blurred, feeble brain, and then it's like you almost have your own cop out within the poem, because your next line is, I do not speak coherently, and then the rest of it just kind of just kind of falls apart. I will say, your stanza here of, I do not sleep at night, nor during the day do I stay out of my dreams, I think that's kind of a fun little parallelism, or just kind of I don't know. I like that. That's a fun play on words. I can't, again, we're recording at night. I can't tell you why I like that. Much like this poem can't tell us what love is. But I like that line.
Just to put this in context, Aaron also wrote 2 poems just called Love, and they both suck.
Oh yeah, way worse than this. This is Shakespeare compared to what I thought love was as my high school self at 16.
I would probably give this a C, like a C.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
I mean, like how you would grade Shakespeare, I guess.
Of course. Thank you.
You monster.
Monster. Ooh.
So did you have prompts for this creative writing course where you, like, did you have to write a concrete poem and then like a free verse stanza or
I appreciate that you think I have the memory to recall this, but from contextual clues of looking through this whole, like this whole manuscript, that is all these different people from high school. Yeah, definitely. Right. Like there was definitely like some assignments that we were given,
Okay.
And so it was short stories and poems that we did in this class. And so there's a bunch of concrete poems in there. There seemed to be some about like big emotions kind of thing.
Okay.
There's a political one in there. I don't know what all the things were, but I'm willing to bet that that's what it was. And at this time, I'll tell you what I wanted to be at this time.
Sure.
I wanted to be involved in theater and do playwriting, most likely.
Nice.
So I like definitely wasn't like, this is also why I thought that I started writing poetry in undergrad, because I didn't have like this mental like narrative of myself as someone who writes poetry. Sure. I often thought poetry was very difficult and hard to like get into. I had a hard time with it in high school. And so finding these is like wild, because this is me doing my thing.
I love that you said that, because the first line almost sounds like what you would find as a scene description in a play. Sure. A mist surrounds my mind. It kind of, you're setting the scene. Yeah, I can see where you're trying to evoke a mood. That's fun. Let's see. I'm looking at the time here. I do want to talk a bit about your transition from high school playwright
Yeah.
to the poetry that you're writing today,
Yeah.
which is really good stuff. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
you write a lot about fatherhood.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about that? Just when you decided that you did like poetry, and then kind of the stuff that you like writing about now.
Yeah, I think my move into poetry was just weird. It was a weird experience. I went into undergrad and decided to take a fiction workshop and a poetry workshop at the same time after being essentially kicked out of doing playwriting, which I went to a university that had a what's it called? A conservatory for theater.
Oh, sure, sure.
And so I wasn't in the theater program. I was a lowly English major,
Wow.
and so I didn't get to minor in that, and so I kind of abandoned that. And then I feel like I should share this with you too. There was a good 4 weeks, 5 weeks that I was sure that I'd be a priest.
Really?
Yeah. Now I want to be clear. Like my relationship with religion is very Catholic. I was very complicated, and I slipped there and said Catholic because I was raised Catholic. And like all good Catholics, have a ton of guilt and never really went to church. And so my relationship with it was weird, but I really love religion. And I've moved like very far away from that now. I'm very, different, whatever. We can get into that at a different time. But there's like a hot minute and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then my advisor, bless this human, he says, are you religious? I said, no. And he went, you can be a priest? I went, oh, yeah.
There could be issues here.
Yeah. There could be
see what you're saying there. Yep.
When you're a priest, you occasionally have to go to church.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that. I'm aware of that assumption, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You don't just live behind the sacristy. That doesn't.
Essentially, I think I imagined myself in a monastery talking to other people just about stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it. I was like, that's what I want to do. And they're like, that's not a career. And I'm like, you're right. It's not. I mean, can it be? Anyway. And
Franciscans.
So I took these 2 workshops together. And in the workshops, I had this poetry instructor who was like, let's just play and do weird stuff. It's fine, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, this will help me write fiction, because I decided at that point I'd be a fiction writer. Yeah. And the fiction workshop I was taking at the same time was really awful. The guy who taught it was like super sexist and like awful. Specifically, all the women in the class, he refused to say anything helpful or constructive to them. Instead, he just said, this is perfect. This is great. Like as though, or too, I don't know, they didn't have couldn't take criticism or whatever. And so so I was like, oh, this poetry thing might have something. And my teacher was like, yeah, you're okay. And I was like, and I took that little grain of positivity. And I was like, this is me now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write poetry. And he was like, all right. I'm like, you do you. Yeah. And then the rest is history, as we say. And yeah, so it like coming to poetry was really weird. And I've always been kind of drawn towards narrative poetry and poetry that like really talks I read a lot of Lee Young Lee in undergrad. And if you've never read Lee Young Lee, I strongly suggest it. Okay. He is not narrative, he's very lyrical. But his poetry hit me because he worked in a warehouse. And he was like the warehouse manager. And I don't know if he still does that because he's older now, but like he did that and wrote poetry on the side. And there's like these beautiful poems about his dad and immigration and like all these awesome things. And they're beautiful and wonderful, but he like worked a blue collar job.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I think the thing that I always associated poetry with was like not that. And it was like this big moment for me where I was like, ooh, you could do that. And he writes a lot about his dad. And so I was like, oh, I could write. I have a dad. I can do that. And eventually that transformed into like, I write a lot about fatherhood. I write a lot about my father. And specifically, I like to kind of play with and mess with ideas of masculinity, which is one of the reasons I like the Hulk.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And I like to kind of like challenge notions of that and like play with it a bit. yeah, I don't know. And those things are like very like close to me. Like now being a dad has been like an interesting like transition to like writing a bit about my dad and stuff. And so that's been kind of a cool thing to like look back at like these really old bad poems and see like where certain threads were coming, where like, oh, I do have this like narrative bend, or I do have this like
Yeah.
kind of thing that I was leaning towards. But yeah, I'm mostly scared that I'm going to read a poem at the end here that I say isn't bad, and that someone's listening and be like, I don't know, he hasn't grown that much. I like the darkest thing. I like the darkest thing more, and I'll be like, yeah, fair. I mean, whatever, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I got that big it's not FOMO. It's what's it called? Where you're like imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore. But yeah.
Well, you're on the show of imposter syndrome, because the minute we started having guests on, we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I assure you, the listeners are very gracious. And we have yet to have a guest hit us with a bad poem at the end. So wait, we'll just wait for you to break that streak.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, man, we could talk. I think we could talk all night. This is a very dangerous trio. So the next time we get the Tired Dad trio together, we'll debate Hulk and Spider-Man, and then for the trilogy, we'll have you pull apart the sonnet. As the Tired Dad trio, we should probably take a break from this lovely conversation. But before we let you go, here at My Bad Poetry, we end each week with the words of a true poet. So, Michael, the nerves that you have felt, here is your moment. Would you be willing to share another one of your poems with us today?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a choice. You want the poem called Four Boys Under an Awning, or do you want Instructions for My Father's Mortician?
Ooh. My vote is Instructions for My Father's Mortician. That sounds so interesting.
Yeah, right. That's perfect.
All right, let's do it. So this poem is after Rigoberto Gonzalez. Instructions for My Father's Mortician. 1. When you receive him, receive him. He's heavier than he looks and eager to meet you. 2. Wash him twice. Don't be surprised by his forgiving body. 3. The softest part of his body is the belly. His hands, neck, and feet are calloused and won't break. 4. His blood runs slowly. Make time for yourself and take breaks. 5. Don't bother with staples or glue. His eyes have earned their rest. 6. Sew his mouth shut. He's lived by wire and knows how to tease it out. 7. He often smiled even where there was little joy. Can you use that? 8. All of this will be more than you're paid for. I can't do anything about that. 9. Let me see him first. I need to be sure. 10. If you need more time, I'll wait as long as he needs.
That was good. That was very good.
That is... I feel that. That's beautiful and terrifying and wonderful. Oh.
Yeah, you capture a lot there. Now the after is the poem that you're referencing, is it also Instructions to a Mortician, or how what?
I believe it's based off a couple poems of Rigoberto Gonzalez's, and I believe one of his poems is called My Father's Mortician.
Okay.
And it is about his father's actual mortician. I feel like it's important to say here that my dad is alive and kind of well, right?
Sure.
So, but but yeah, so it's based off of a couple poems of his that talk about like his dad specifically.
Yeah.
And kind of inspired from that. And I feel like I took the father's mortician part a bit and ran with it. So I don't know. I never know what to do when I'm like super inspired by another poet's poems.
Sure.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna cover my
Cover your bases for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. Oh, I actually kind of love the fact that your father is still alive because you're like you're processing grief that has yet to come.
Mhm.
I mean, that itself is fascinating.
Yeah.
There's a silly song. I mean, it's not a silly song, sorry, but I do not want to compare your poem to this. There's a Lewis Capaldi song on right now that's about his father dying. It's on the radio every once in a while, and every time that song comes on, I just belt it. And I'm like, this is not an emotion or a situation you tend to hear on top 40 radio.
Sure.
It's just something that's not talked about, the loss of a parent.
Yeah.
And the way you covered it was, yeah, like Dave said, beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and especially talking about like masculinity and how we as men are not allowed to process those emotions. We are told by society we shouldn't, and that they are bad and they should be hidden. So to hear those words spoken so beautifully, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys got any hookups, the manuscript's still making its way around the universe. There's a whole lot of these types of poems.
I would say we have no influence whatsoever. Sorry,
fair.
Michael.
You know what? I'll take it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. No, I'm just messing around. I'm just messing.
If any of our dear listeners happens to have a press,
Listen, I gotta be shameless now with like trying to like not enough people are reading poetry, and I just gotta I'm just gonna be like, hey, I don't know, you want a poem? I got one right here.
Yeah. As one of the people who used to absolutely never read poetry unless it was an assignment for class, but now I actually realize the beauty and the usefulness of poetry in my life, I will continue to advocate for that.
yeah. This has been My Bad Poetry.
Now, go write some of your own bad poetry.
Okay, cool.
You
I
know,
was going
like-
to say, we can still be friends then.
Okay,
That's cool.
yeah.
Listen, if after this you want to throw on some Jesus Christ Superstar and just like,
Oh, boy.
I know,
Oh.
I know, I get it. I mean, we can have a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Rhyme free doesn't matter.